So we're here to discuss Julie's unbelievable book, Literally Me. Who follows Julie on Instagram? And who's bought Julie's book?
Ooh,
Then we're
thank
in,
you.
Then we're in the right place. Wouldn't it be amazing if people are here for something else?
No hands go up.
So I have an online book club called Belletrist, and Emma, who's my partner, who's an actor, actually turned me on to you. I don't know, not months ago, like years. And I've since followed your work on Instagram, and then I was sent the book and told about the book, and I absolutely loved it. And actually, I was talking to Jeremy, who's filming this tonight. I laughed out loud, which you don't always do at a book.
It's a little bit awkward to laugh out loud into your lap.
But I sort of did it this book. It's like, you're extremely funny, so I just wanted to start off by saying that. But I wanted to start with a question. I know you went to the School of Art Institute of Chicago, and then you went to Parsons, which is how you ended up in New York. And I guess I want to know, like, how did you get from Parsons to J. Crew, where you were a designer?
Yeah. How close do you have to? I'm really tripped up by this. Is it like this close? Okay. I graduated from Parsons, and when you're there, you have to do this like panel at the end, and it's your thesis, and you've been working on it all year, and you don't sleep and you don't eat, and it's miserable. But it's all like in hopes that in this panel, you're gonna become the most famous best designer on earth, which doesn't happen. Fashion design. Yeah. But it doesn't happen that way, but that's the hope. But so I finished my panel and I got a job at Bill Blass. They were doing some revamp of Bill Blass, and I was like an assistant designer. Like, was so excited to get the job. I didn't even ask how much money. I just accepted over the phone. I was just like, yes, thank you. I will be there Monday.
Like, and it's $2 a week.
Basically, they were like, you're gonna pay us quarterly. I was like, yes, good, like it. But I went, and it was so hard, and I hated it. And so then I had a friend who was working at J. Crew, and she was so happy and was like, it's a big lovey-dovey flower fest over here. You should come on over. Yeah. Right? Yeah, that's pretty much there. So I did. And so then I started at J. Crew, and I was there for almost 7 years. So.
And I hear that you're no longer this is the full-time.
Yeah, now I'm just.
No more side hustle.
No more side hustle.
Did you want to be a fashion designer when you were growing up?
No, I wanted to be like a psychologist growing up, or I thought it was cooler to be a psychiatrist, so I actually wanted to be a psychiatrist. I don't think I knew the difference.
Encouraging of like a child you wanted to be a child psychiatrist.
A child who was a psychiatrist. Yes, that's right.
Parents encouraging that?
Yeah, I think they were just happy to have a kid who had any direction at all. Right. So they were just like, yeah, I'll do that. And then I kind of just like took like a hard left and in my senior year and decided to just go to art school. And they were supportive of that too.
Had you been someone who were you like an art kid in high school?
Yeah, I did art, but I feel like I was just like the kid who could draw like the eyeball the best, you know? Like finger shading and the S, right?
Shit on in the book.
Yeah, well, it's time to give up the S.
I mean, I'm ready to give up the S, which you say.
Do you know the S?
You guys
like
know
with
the
S 3
with
and then you...
Yeah, it's a very famous.
I think we're done.
It's a call to action, so to speak.
Yeah,
of like ending
the
S.
You just got to stand for stuff now, and that's what I stand for.
So back then, you were the S drawer. Though.
Yeah, I was like the class S eye drawer. That was my thing. And then eventually that got me all the way to like AP Art Studio in high school. And
that's
then
a thing?
Yeah.
You took an AP exam.
Two. That's actually how I got into art school. Yeah. There was like you had to take your portfolio to a college admission board and have them rate it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's how you got your grade. But when I went, I thought that's all I was doing, but they kind of like closed it up and they were like, so you can come, like you're admitted. I was just like, oh, I didn't think that was what we were up to today, but okay, I'll go. Like,
And that's what you very cool.
yeah.
I am not an artist at all, which is why I don't know. I felt like reading your book was like twofold in a way. Like I was obviously looking at it, but I actually loved it for the humor as much as I loved it for the artwork, I guess. I don't know. That's an aside. I don't know why I'm saying that. I just really love this book. So you came to Parsons and I guess after Chicago, and I was wondering, part of what I find so funny about your work is sort of, there's this sort of like glamour adjacent vibe that you sort of get from just the voice. Not that it's not that you're not glamorous, you obviously are, but I mean like in the sense of you're very, well it's very, but you're very tongue in cheek. And so I sort of wonder if coming to New York as opposed to being from New York, if that informs your voice, like as a humorist now, but also as an illustrator.
Yeah, I think so. Like when I first got here, I'm from the Midwest originally, so I'm very, coming here was like a real culture
You came
shock.
off a Greyhound bus.
Yeah, with just like a duffel. No, no, I just, yeah, most of the people I met here were either from New York or they were from LA, and I was just really kind of blown away and felt really like out of my depth around most of them and felt, yeah, very much like an outsider in lots of ways. So I think I kind of took to studying a bit and kind of just picking apart why they were the way they were. I still do that. I don't feel
feel
particularly
like an
glamorous.
I mean, did you feel that way even at J. Crew? Like, were you? I guess what the question I'm getting to is like when you were at J. Crew, for example. Do you feel like you've used some of that shtick in the book now, like things that you either heard or saw, or just like some of the fashion riff-raff? Does it influence your writing at all in your illustration?
Not necessarily J. Crew, but I think just sort of being surrounded, just basically feeling like industry adjacent, but never squarely in the center of it. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of some of what's in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of more of what I think I related to, which is really like, it's funny, it's kind of silly, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have a sense of humor about it.
So I wanted to, you had an Instagram, how long have you had the Instagram for?
Like always.
Always.
Yeah.
But you didn't
like there
start
were like, there's like hay barrels rolling around when I got on.
But you didn't, I mean, I feel like kids these days are born with 200,000 followers. Like you started with like, it's a grassroots. And
it's a movement, yes.
So like, what's the difference? I guess the question I have is like, how did you go from like being a person on Instagram as an illustrator to now, but sort of in between getting a book deal and coming up with enough to be a book, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, it all happened really quickly. It wasn't, none of this existed even a year and a half ago. So it's been really fast. It was just kind of, wasn't like overnight, but like a little.
They were like,
kind of felt that way.
Your editor was like, right.
Now begin. No, it was like kind of a slow build. There wasn't much of a following, and then slowly it sort of grew, and then Alyssa and Lauren approached me, and then the whole thing was written in like 6 months, basically. So, and I was working the whole time. I only left in May, so
how were you doing
just
that
like
at the same
2
time?
hours at night over like Indian
I mean, I
food?
asked that because like I don't do anything for 2 hours at night besides watch television. So I'm just like, I've talked to other writers who are like, well, I just wrote at night, and that's what you did?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't any other time to do it, like, or my lunch break or just whatever. It just, yeah.
Where did you come? There's a part in the book, for those who've read it, I don't know, for those who haven't, but there's a part that's called the 4 Horsewomen of the Apocalypse, which is your take on the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. How did you, if you want to like talk a little bit about it, but also how you came up with it. It's an amazing story.
Thanks.
It's also just very clever.
So I had a Coachella drawing that I had posted on Instagram, and I liked it a lot, and we wanted to include it in the book, but didn't feel. Actually, I think at that point I just didn't have enough spreads was kind of the issue. Like I forgot you could do that. I don't know how to make a book, so I was just like, oh yeah, you can do 2 pages. Like, it's so stupid. But so then I made it a spread, but then it wasn't very good. So then Lauren, my editor, kind of pushed me to. She was like, well, can you write something about this? And I just said no for like a month and a half, and then all of a sudden, just one day, just came up with this idea. I mean, it was always sort of about these 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, but I didn't know it was going to take the shape it did. But it was really fun. I just read the book of, Revelation for a while. It was fun.
And there's no Uber pool. There's no Uber pool in the book of Revelations either.
I don't know about that, actually.
Or a Coachella.
No.
I was curious because I think it's very interesting that you have sort of, I think you've sort of fallen into this role as a humorist, but are clearly a very good one. And I think, I wonder, like as someone who was a designer and still probably considers himself a designer, what's the difference between designing clothes and writing a book? It's a hard question.
No, I think that I was surprised how similar it was. Oh. There's a lot of overlap in terms that, books deliver on season, and I said this last night and Lauren laughed, but there's a lot of compromise involved in making a book. Like, you think something might turn out one way, but just because of a variety of reasons, it just doesn't. Or sometimes there is no compromise. But that's very similar in making clothes. Sometimes what you want and what's possible are not the same thing, which I'm fine with. But I think that designing clothes was kind of a good background to come from, maybe. Yeah.
I guess in a way that might be different, like for what you choose to post on Instagram, is it normally like just stuff that you get an idea about, or do you ever set out to cover something, so to speak, or to satirize something?
Sometimes, but it's usually not very good, and I end up throwing it away. Like whenever I'm like, I'm gonna get into that, it's like it sucks. It's not good. So
it's usually just like comes.
Yeah, if I have an idea, I tend to just have one, and yeah.
Was your Bannon?
That's.
That was very good. That was very good.
Yeah.
Like I drew that in blood at first, and I adapted it for Instagram.
The underlayer is blood. Yeah.
I guess I want to ask you like a few fast kind of questions, but first of all, like what is your favorite piece in the book, so that people can keep that in their head when they're reading it? Or
I really like the Fiddle Ficus essay at the back of the book. I love
is the millennial plant.
Tree. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was I really like that story. And what is your, I guess, would you say, what was your like biggest inspiration that you drew for this book? Like, is there an art book that you loved, or are there inspirations that you have for this book? For your work in general, I guess. Yeah,
but I think that when I first started to think about making it, it got really hard because there were, 4 or 5 books that I just loved so much and kind of felt like there was no way what I was going to make was going to be anywhere near as good. So I started doing these kind of bad imitations of it, thinking that it might like be the same, but it was really bad. So I think that it was really unproductive, and eventually I just had to just do what made the most sense and kind of forget that I had seen those other things.
Who were some of the artists, like when you were maybe in art school, that really influenced you, or who you...
I did my thesis at Parsons on Francis Bacon, and I think I found like Raymond Pettibon and David Shrigley around the same time, and I was always like a big de Kooning fan, but it's not quite so applicable, but yeah.
No, but it's, I think there's, I don't know, for me, like the style in your book is really, I don't know, it's really very unique. I sort of wonder, it's like, that's the thing about your work, is like it just sort of came out of you. That's why it doesn't look like anything that I've seen. But it's like, it seems to feel like it looks like other things that I'm seeing right now. But I think you also are just very representative of the times, which is very cool. I guess I wanted to ask like a few very specific questions. First of all, there's the Kylie Jenner that ran in the New Yorker at first. Kylie Steps Out. Has anyone seen Kylie Steps Out? It's brilliant. And I guess it's imagined things that Kylie Jenner would wear, but they all look like things Kylie Jenner has worn.
I had so much fun trying to figure out what she would wear. Like, it was way more fun. I drew a lot of outs that I was just
What
like,
were some of your
outs? Too
outs?
much fun. There were a lot of variations on the chicken bag. I weeded out an opossum at one point. I was like, oh, we already have opossums. I can't do an opossum bag. But yeah, there were lots of different. And then I got into like a weird designer headspace where I was like, I actually don't think the seaming would work there, so I'm gonna move that.
Like, I don't know if this. What was it was like a bondage situation.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know if that would work.
I was like, actually, I don't think that's structurally sound. Yeah.
Do you think that she's seen them? What do you think?
No.
Do you think she would like? We were talking about this before. Like, do you think she's self-aware enough to see it and be like, ha ha ha? I would wear that sandwich on my head.
She'd be like, it's cute.
Yeah, she's like, I like it. It's hot.
I don't know, it's hot.
Hot as Paris. That was Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Maybe it's coming back with Juicy Couture.
I hope
yeah.
so.
Um,
I hope so. I actually wanted to ask you. This is like kind of unrelated to your book, but what is a trend right now that has to go in your opinion? And it is relevant to your book because I feel like there's some stuff that they're call outs in your book.
I mean, I like freaked out about all of this. Obviously, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna wear, and like, whatever.
You came in though. You look good.
Thank you so much.
You look good.
I like went shopping for clothes, and I tried on this dress the other day that was just like seemingly just like a sweet little flower dress, and then I put it on and the sleeves went to my ankles, and I was just like, what the fuck is this for? Like, yeah, just so long. And then I asked the sales guy, I was like, what is this? And he was just like, he's like, oh yeah, you can cut those if you want. Fuck am I buying
And then what the fuck do I do with the fabric?
Yeah, like what? Yeah.
That's very funny. So long, like drapey
So just
sleeves.
like maybe no sleeves that touch the ground for
right.
me. That's
Lengthwise.
like a personal thing.
Right. And no S anymore. There's a mouse in the book. Is it? No, it's not on the cover. But what is it? Where does this mouse come from? Or is it a rat? Is it a rat?
I don't know. I think it's a rat, I guess.
It looks like a rat because rats don't have braces. Like they have buck teeth.
Yeah, I think it's a rat.
Yeah.
And he's big. He's sizable. But I don't know. I when I was at Parsons and like going out a lot and working on my thesis a lot, I lived in this apartment in like Murray Hill that was just like a trash hole, and I didn't put anything away, and it was disgusting. Like Miranda's laughing because she went there. It was gross.
The Murray Hill apartment.
It was like the closest I've become to being a hoarder. Like, but it scared me a lot. But as a result of that, I had like a major mouse infestation that I did nothing to solve at all.
in your home.
Oh yeah, like
Hot.
I just let it ride. I was like,
It's sort of more comfortable if you know what's going on and they're partying and you're partying, and it's fine.
it just felt fine.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, yeah, I guess we're all here.
Yeah.
You know, like we're all just living. So yeah, I do remember kind of going to sleep and kind of hearing activity around me and just feeling like, okay, well, we're in this together now. Like, so I don't know.
She.
There are many. I'm multi-gendered.
They do have, some of them are different in the book, actually. But that's where that sort of came from, that they still sort of
I
haunt
guess
your-
so.
yeah.
I mean, I never thought about it, but it sounds fine. I'll take it.
I guess, how much time do we have for questions? Am I allowed to ask that? How much time do we have for questions left before we're giving the audience questions? I don't know. I just want to be cognizant of time. Okay, cool.
So long.
Are you like one of those people like artists you feel like you need to illustrate, not talk? Is that how you?
I mean, I'm certainly much more comfortable drawing than talking. Yeah.
Interesting. Then I wonder what I'm definitely not an artist then. I just like talking.
You're in the wrong spot then.
No. So I guess another question that I have for you, like as more of like a content thing than a form thing, is like why I guess sort of why take on, or what interests you about sort of taking on and satirizing, I don't know, like, I don't want to say this, like millennial culture. I don't know if that's a thing. It kind of is a thing. But like, I feel like the reason why I relate a lot to what you draw and what you write is because it's very clear to me that it exists, and it exists too much. Like, we are oversaturated.
I mean, I think it's the most documented culture. So I'm certainly bombarded with it, but like we would be, probably most of the people in here are millennials. So it's not necessarily intentional. It's just the bulk of what I'm absorbing, like through just, I didn't ask for it, but yeah.
And do you, I don't know, does it like make you, I don't want to, like, does it come from a place of like being upset about it? Like, I understand Bannon was written in blood, but like this, does some of this like,
I mean, some of it upsets me. I think some of it is upsetting, but a lot of it's just things I notice and am just asking myself and maybe other people to sort of think about one a little more, maybe. Or just to point out stuff that we all kind of take and think like, just move on, just move through it. You know. Do you think of yourself as a humorist? I know I mean, like, is that something that you're sort of comfortable with as a... No. No, I mean, no.
You're not. No, I just think that, I don't know, you're really funny. So I think you should think of yourself, though. I mean, not that I want to prescribe what you should think about yourself. I think that what you... Like, a lot of my friends who I've spoken to, who I said, oh, I'm interviewing Julie, and they were like, oh my God, Julie Lauren, like, and I think you obviously speak to a lot of people who both absorb this culture, but also fucking not hate it. I don't despise the millennial plant. I'm not like looking at it wanting to but I think that I don't know. You definitely put it on a pedestal. I don't know. No, what's the opposite of putting something on a pedestal? Satirizing it?
Knocking it off.
Putting it on blast. Yeah, you put it on blast, for sure. And I don't know, I really like that, and I appreciate it. I guess another thing that I really wanted to ask you is, literally me, how do you say it in your head?
Oh,
like,
the title.
It's like
book?
literally me, or...
Well, it kind of came. Oh, it's too close. It kind of came from when I first started posting thing, and it got a bit more of a following. That was just the comment I constantly got. People just saying back and forth through each other, just like literally me.
Oh, I never thought about that.
That's all anyone says if you look through.
That's really funny. I never thought of that.
But I always thought it was funny because I was just like, but it isn't. It's not.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. No, but I like I did not even think about it. That's blowing my mind, actually. Because I thought, for some reason, I was like, oh, I don't know where you got it from. But that makes sense. And I've probably, so that's the thing, like, I've probably written in a comment on Instagram, either dead.
Yeah, I love that one too. Or I love literally dead. I'm like, are you? Are you? You're not.
My friend now says I'm a ghost. Yeah. Which is a new one.
They go so far, they'll be like, I'm in the ground in a casket and there's dirt on me and I'm dead. Like, so you liked it, or
right.
It's good?
Yes. Exactly. That's the thing. It's like more, the worse,
so
the better.
Exaggerated. Everything is so far. Yeah.
Literally me. That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
I really wanted to ask this because there's a theme in your book of sort of everything happens for a reason. Yeah. Do you think that?
No, I don't fucking think that. No, I don't think that at all. I think it's all chaos and nothing happens for any reason. So.
Does you're an existentialist? No? Is it no nihilist?
No.
It's. I don't even know how we take people's. I mean, so obviously this is a response to something. Then.
I think it's sort of just a response to, like, this, like, live, laugh, love. Everything happens for a reason. Like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Like, no. Right. I don't think so.
So you don't have a quote mug in your house? No. With blood on it? No. How do we end that?
I mean, it doesn't need to end, but it's not something I think. So, you know, I think it helps. I think a lot of people like that, and that gives them a lot of solace, and like, that's great. That's totally great. You can have your mug. I don't need to take away your mug, but
I guess millennial marketing does make some people feel like Casper gets me. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I just think it's a little cheap, maybe.
I feel like you're a truther, like in the best way. No, not in the Alex Jones way. That's not what I'm talking about. I feel like you're a millennial truther. I mean that shit. I swear that's why I've said that to friends of mine who don't know your work. And I'm like, this chick is
you're like, she's a truther, you'll love her.
No, it's why, like, I do a lot of things on Instagram stories where I'll take photos of like either millennial marketing or something that's like so specific but also so broad. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, why Qdoba? Like, why? I'm just like, it doesn't. So for you, I think this book specifically, but also like what you post is, first of all, it looks great, and also it's understandable in a way that isn't hypercritical, but also like really smart. So I don't know. I think we should be replacing billboards with your work. Oh. Like that's, but no, I mean it like in a way of like, it is actually very thought provoking, and that's, I took so many photos of certain things that you, I don't know, clearly like really got at the heart at very well. Thank you. I want to ask 2 last questions, and then I guess we'll go to Q&A questions. One, I don't know how to ask this. Is you're like, don't. Is getting older a big focus for you? Like, it kind of comes up in your work as far as like what I was at 23, like living in a rat hole, clearly. Or I don't know how old you were when you were living in the rat hole, but like
23.
What I was at 23 versus like what I am now, which is like put a face mask on at like 6:30 and play Sudoku, which is I've tried to be that since I was like 15.
I know. I mean, I was surprised by that. I feel like the second I posted that, so many people were like, "But I'm 9." Like everyone was like, "I'm 15." Like
literally,
I don't
want
to do anything.
Right. Yeah. Or is it like a preoccupation for you? I know it's kind of vague. But.
I mean, I'm like very scared of dying, so that's a preoccupation of mine.
Well, if everything happens for a reason, then you'll be fine.
Yeah,
I think
I would just it would mean something instead of being meaningless. Yeah.
I guess on the subject of dying, what's next for you?
Just like death eventually. Yeah. That's the next big milestone. I would say it was just like book, this and then death.
I'm sure so many authors would say they're like book, success, death.
It's just like book. Like maybe get a taco, death. Yeah, that would be like
uno mas. Are you like writing a new book? Are you what's like your?
I'm just kind of. I mean, I only quit J. Crew in May, so it was kind of just about like finishing. There are J. Crew people here.
They're like, we're not cheering you leaving.
They really don't like me. I'm just trying to kind of figure out what it would be now to kind of just work as an illustrator, and I've never thought about just writing for fun, and I've started to do a bit of that, which has been great. And
I hope you'll continue the takedown of the culture. No, but I really
like
do sort of hope that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of my feelings are reflected in your work. I mean that genuinely. So, I have one other question that's selfish. What was your favorite thing that you designed at J. Crew, or like piece?
Oh. Jittle dress. That's
it was called the what?
Yeah.
The jittle dress. The jizz dress. Was that resistant or what?
No. So there's the thing about J. Crew where you give internal names to clothes, so you can just keep track of them. And like our team's system was that my styles had to have a J or an H, but after like so many seasons and just like getting a little bored, you start to come up with like jizz dresses.
But was your jizz dress? It wasn't.
I actually
like
don't remember my jizz dress, but that would be funny if it was.
It's jizz resistance, like Dockers. Ooh.
People don't like that.
We're gonna go to audience. Can we go to audience questions? Do we pass a mic around? Thank you so much for taking my questions. I know they're a little roundabout.
Asking my questions.
So whoever you choose, I'll run the mic to.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? I guess you choose the people. The people.
You. Black shirt. Yeah. Well, yeah, then you. Yeah.
Do you talk about your milieu? Like, do you satirize your friends when you write, create?
Yeah, pretty exclusively, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I'm surrounded by them, and those are the people I'm talking to. So I think that, like, when I'm talking to them, I start to notice things, and yeah, I mean, it's often me too. It's all of us.
Hi. I'm really freaked out by this microphone thing too.
It's weird, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna apologize in advance for asking you an annoying question. But do you have any advice for fledgling artists?
I'm like a bullshit person I'm like, get an Instagram account. Like, I don't like have a day job. I don't know. Like, I mean, I think I would say, like, I kind of did make a rule for myself that if I was going to have this day job, I had to draw something every day, even if I just threw it away. So even if it was really kind of late at night, I just kind of did make a point of being sure to draw something. So I just kept, like, that muscle working. I think that's what I would say.
Hi. So sometimes in, like, Instagram world, if I get ready to go somewhere and I look nice, occasionally I'm like, this is my, like, one time out of ever that I look good enough for Instagram, so let me make sure. And then I'm like, oh, is this for Instagram? Or was it because I'm going on a date? Like, which one really did I get ready for? Do you do you ever have that kind of inhibition with, like, irony about yourself and your own life that you get to the point where you can't even tell what your own thoughts are for with this? Because it seems like such an essential expression. I mean, I don't know you, but it seems like such a personal expression that I feel like I could trip over it.
I mean, I'm so sick of myself all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like to hear with myself constantly. So sometimes that's hard to just. Sometimes you're just like, oh, everything is so bad and like, even if it, you just can't be satirical enough, basically. But, like, to the point where you're just not even saying anything except for just like, I'm bad, like, just awful. It just can go way too far.
So, what's your favorite J. Crew color code?
Oh, BL 8133.
Yeah, girl, navy.
Yeah. NA 6434. Yeah.
Ivory. BK 001.
Yeah. That's a great one. She doesn't work at J. Crew. It's weird.
I probably can recite that from so many returned online orders.
Oh yeah, totally.
Now that you've started writing short
Hi,
stories, are you going to continue, and are you working on anything now?
Yeah, it's Madeline. It's Madeline giving me, like, a kick in the ass. Yes, Madeline, I am. I've, like, started writing more for fun, which is not something I thought that I was even capable of doing. So it's been fun to kind of see which ideas find their way more into illustration and which ones find their way more into just straight writing.
I want to ask you, actually, are there certain things where you're like, I'm only going to illustrate this idea, or I'm only going to write about, like, is everything that you sort of do always thought of as an illustration first just because of your background?
No, sometimes it's writing first, and I just kind of, just because of what this is at this point, like, the illustration is just sort of an afterthought, to be honest. But other times it's just because I drew someone in a pose I liked, and then it's not always one or the other.
Sloucher.
Yeah, I love a good slouch. Yeah.
I wish I was a sloucher, like my clothes.
Oh
It's
yeah.
very chic. Sorry, I usurped that. Anybody else?
Hi, Miranda.
Silly. Hi. I might know the answer to this, but who's your Instagram guilty pleasure follow?
Oh. There's a really good account called If You High. You should see what. It's really good.
Like if you are. Yeah.
If You High. It's just like noodles going through machines and stuff. It's really good. It's so good. And then I think like as an offshoot of that, like one night started following an account called Royalty of Europe. It's just like obscure duchesses. Like I don't even know. But now I'm just so far in. I just like need to know what's going on with them.
Are you in their drama now? Like are they living?
But that's the thing. It's so vanilla. I mean, it's just public appearances. It's like Getty images of like cast off duchesses. I don't know why I care, but I'm in it now.
I do love a Getty
I can't get out. Yeah.
image. Does anybody else? Any other questions? Am I missing a hand or something?
Okay, cool.
Okay. Are we good? We're cool. I love that. Well, thank you so much for answering my questions. And this is a really, really funny book.
Thank you.
And as Jeremy, who works with me, he was like, my girlfriend would love it. Buy it for your girlfriend, right? Or your friend, or everybody. Or your mom.
Sure.
And it'll teach. It's like a guidebook for your mom. More. No, I'm joking. This is literally me. I want to see you actually sketch the royalty of Europe as sketches. Like I want to see your Duchess of Europe. Or
Yes.
what's her name? Fergie.
Oh yeah. These are like way.
Oh, we're talking
not-
niche.
They're not even.
Duchess.
Yeah, they're not even.
All
yeah.
duchesses
Yeah.
of Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
coming.
Thank you.